everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wake Up and Smell the Tauntaun. I am your host, as always, John Maffio. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or whatever you celebrated for the holiday season. We're almost approaching New Year. It's literally tomorrow, and we're in 2020, and then we start a new year with hopefully goals set in mind and things we want to achieve. I'm a little hoarse, and I'm kind of sick too. I don't know where it's coming from. People are getting sick in this house and just in general, and I guess I'm catching on to it, but I'm still going to record a video for the Mandalorian. I haven't made a video for episode 7 or 8, but on this episode, I'm just going to basically breeze through my general spoiler-filled thoughts of the Mandalorian throughout. Up until 7 and 8, I was a fan of the show. I'm always a fan of Star Wars. I'm always a fan of anything related to Star Wars, movies and shows. I just like having more content. I do. I enjoy it, even though I don't want there to be an oversaturation of Star Wars. If we're getting good things and people who care about this universe and this whole galaxy making things that are awesome, I'm down with any of it. Episodes 7 and 8, both of them together, feel like a finale in and of itself. You could have made like an hour and a half episode with two of them together, but I understand why they wanted to fill an 8-episode quota. And I hope going into season 2, the Jon Favreau and company make a more cohesive narrative for just the story. Even I don't mind filler, but I'd rather the filler actually feel like it's doing something and actually telling a new story and bringing something to the characters. And I think a couple of the filler episodes in this season didn't really do much for me, at least. It didn't really hit me the way I wanted it to. But I'm hoping for some real improvements next year, going into the fall. But episodes 7 and 8 were really well-paced episodes that had real stakes. I felt like at some point certain characters may or may not have died. And since we're talking about spoilers, we lost Khalil, little Ugnaught, and he was a really protective person, and he turned IG-11 into a nursing protective droid. And that lent to some really awesome moments too, comedically and action-filled. But I'm sad that we lost Khalil. He was a really interesting character, and I could have done with more of him, but we do still have characters like Cara Dune and Apollo Creed's character. If I call him Apollo Creed, like that's his real name. But Carl Weathers' character. We have Moff Gideon now, played by Giancarlo Esposito, and I'm just going to jump right into it. He has a Darksaber. If we go into Rebels, the last time we saw a Darksaber, it was with Sabine, and it was with Sabine, Bo-Katan, and the rest of the surviving Mandalorians. Did the remains of the Empire, go to Mandalore and do a second massacre? Because we hear about a first massacre in the last episode, the Night of 1,000 Tears, in which most of the Mandalorians were wiped out. And as we hear too, Mandalorian is not a race, it's a creed. And we have a creed in this show, a character creed. This is something that should be a given, but the thing I enjoyed the most about these last 2 episodes was the cohesion of it, the glued together narrative, because I felt like it was actually telling a story of this character, and with Baby Yoda, and his name is Din Djarin, the Mandalorian Din Djarin, Cara Dune, all these characters coming together for a climax, and characters we've met over the entire season. And I think this show, when it has footing and it really knows what it wants to do, it really succeeds at what it wants to do, and it is bringing a lot of the fandom together because people are really enjoying this story. But in my opinion, when it's not good, it's pretty low. It just feels like it's on a level that Star Wars shouldn't be. And I mean, I hold Star Wars to a pretty high standard, and it's okay to have bad Star Wars, but it just seems like tonally a couple episodes just didn't fit in here at all. But that's also because Dave Filoni as a director doesn't have live action experience, so him working with live action actors in a live setting and really telling a story in live action isn't his strong suit, at least not yet. He has a lot to learn. But we do get a lot of good moments with the characters that we have in episodes 7 and 8. I really like Baby Yoda in these last 2 episodes. And I mean, Baby Yoda, especially in the last episode, the whole thing with the magic hand waving, him deflecting the fire from the stormtrooper with a flamethrower and just having that epic little Kanan Jarrus moment. Him just being cute, riding on the front of IG-11 like he's on a roller coaster ride, just having fun, while IG-11 just blasts the crap out of stormtroopers left and right. Out of context, the scene with the 2 scout troopers in the beginning, it was Jason Sudeikis and Adam Pally, and they were having this little discussion about what to do with the baby. And it's a nice isolated scene of one stormtrooper wanting to keep the baby a secret because of Moff Gideon being a very trigger-happy leader, and he would kill anybody for any reason. So he's like, why should I show you the baby? Like, there's a nice conflict there of this stormtrooper wants to see the baby, this stormtrooper won't let him see the baby because of, actual reasons. And then they start shooting at a can, and they can't hit the can. And then, they ultimately get wiped out by IG-11 for punching Baby Yoda, which is a cardinal sin. You don't punch Baby Yoda. He's too cute for that. Normally, I wouldn't like a scene like this because it doesn't do anything for the narrative at all. It's just a fun scene between two characters we don't know about, having a discussion about a character that we haven't really gotten to know yet either. But it is well done in the humorous context that we have there. And then, from there, we actually have the narrative that pushes forward after that. I actually really enjoyed, speaking of IG-11, his little arc in this, becoming a nursing droid, thanks to the engineering of Qual in the episode 7, and then he makes the ultimate sacrifice, and we get back the callback of the self-destruction sequence that we heard in the first episode like 2 or 3 times, where he said, I'm going to do the self-destruct sequence, and Mando's like, no! So he finally does it to save the lives of everybody around him, and as he says in the episode, he was never truly alive, and he's not a human being, so don't feel bad for me. It was a very bittersweet, somber moment, and I really enjoyed it. These last 2 episodes were really well paced, really well shot, really well choreographed from beginning to end, and you could tell because they're directed by people who really have experience. And I mean, I haven't heard much of Deborah Chow before Star Wars, but she's a hell of a director, and she's a great choice for Obi-Wan. And I'm hoping Obi-Wan is more of like a cohesive narrative too, and I hope there's no like filler for that. Because I think we want to learn so much about Obi-Wan in his isolation on Tatooine. And I think you could do so much psychologically and mentally with that character that she's going to do a great job of just setting the stage visually, but also taking a great character and doing more for that character. I'm really excited for that with her. And Taika Waititi, the voice of IG-11, directed the last episode. If you haven't seen his theatrical films, What We Do in the Shadows, Jojo Rabbit, Thor Ragnarok, he's a really interesting director that I don't always agree with him when it comes to his humor and drama choices. But lately with Jojo Rabbit and now this, he knows he's learning more, at least in my eyes, in his trajectory as a director, how to blend the humor and the drama and make it work together. And it really worked in Jojo Rabbit, and it really worked here. There were some really great moments where you do feel really sad. The moment where we get the Mandalorian taking his helmet off in front of IG-11. It really worked because it's the first time we see Pedro Pascal. It's an interesting scene for us to see his face revealed because he's been trying to put up this facade of being the Mandalorian, but we have seen him vulnerable before too. So to see him in this very vulnerable position where he doesn't want to take the helmet off because of his creed of him being a Mandalorian and trying to prove himself to the Mandalorians. But seeing him in this moment of weakness and it really bonds you with the character more too. So going into season 2, we have more of that humanity. We see more of that humanity in him, and it'll bring us closer to him and Baby Yoda in whatever story we go through as they either try to find the Yoda species, the planet, or wherever they come from, and or seeing them bond as father and son. I gotta be honest, I didn't expect to see the Darksaber in live action. I know the Darksaber and Mandalorian lore go hand in hand from what we've seen in Clone Wars and Rebels, and we have Dave Filoni involved here, but I still didn't see it coming, and I didn't see this character having and possessing that weapon either. But I am sure we're going to find out more about how he got that sword. And he obviously didn't die either. I don't know if anybody expected or thought he was dead when the Mando chopped off the side of his TIE fighter and it fell, but if you've seen Star Wars, pretty much every time a TIE fighter was being blown up or was being incapacitated, and it kind of if it was a space battle or just a regular land battle in the sky, if a TIE fighter fell and basically had impact with a building or the floor or the ground or whatever, it explodes. It only doesn't explode when a main character is in the TIE fighter. In the case of Poe Dameron and Finn in Force Awakens, and here in this episode where it just kind of has a little plop. It just kind of it just kind of sits there. It doesn't explode. And I knew at that moment, yeah, he's not dead. I have to give praise to Ludwig Göransson again for his musical score. I do agree, though. I still stay with the sentiments that from earlier episodes that the music didn't really mesh well with the scenes, but that's because I think it's more of a directing and kind of what he was told to do than him himself. He's a really great composer and he makes great music, but like in episodes like these last 2 episodes, when that Mandalorian theme hits, whether it's somber or heroic, it really works. And that main theme is so memorable. I mean, it's candy for the ears. I'm excited to see where the show goes. I want to see what we're going to do with Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian. There's a really complex father and son story here that we can get deep into moving forward if we're going to get multiple seasons of this show. A lot of season 1 was just get from A to B, get from A to B again, get from A to B one more time. Oh, now we have actual consequences. I hope we have more of like an actual story going on in season 2. Now that we have the groundwork laid down, and the foundation is pretty nice. I don't know if they're going to stick with the filler episodes, if we're going to get more episodes. We're going to get 8 episodes again with longer episodes, but we'll have to see what happens here. But I do see the potential in this being a really, really solid show, depending on what they do with these characters moving forward. And overall, the overall season, I like the overall season. I liked episode 2 a lot, episode 3 a lot, episode 6, 7, and 8. The opening pilot was good enough to set the stage for the show, but there are obvious blatant weak points in the storytelling and the character work when it comes to this show. Episodes, that's no knock on Dave Filoni or Bryce Dallas Howard, but their episodes were the weakest ones, and it shows in that both of them aren't really experienced in directing a live-action movie. Yes, Bryce Dallas Howard has been around a lot of live-action sets. Her father is Ron Howard for Moof Milker's sake, and Dave Filoni has been the protege of George Lucas since like 2007, 2008, with the original Clone Wars movie. For a lot of people, I'm sure they did work. I know this is all subjective, but in my opinion, episodes 4 and 5, I didn't need them, but the ones with the director of Dope, Rick F., I'm not going to say his last name because I don't want to botch it, and Deborah Chow, and I'm looking forward to seeing who directs episodes in season 2, if they're going to keep the same director wheelhouse, or if they're going to add some more people to the mix, and if we're going to see, I'm just wondering what they're planning on doing with this, and what they're going to keep and maintain from season 1, what they're going to omit from season 1, what they're going to do to really mold this show into something with an identity. Because it already has identity, but I really want to see what they do next, really. I'm ready for it. But those are my thoughts on Mandalorian Season 1, not only because I've been talking for a while, but also because I'm sick, and it's hurting my throat to talk more, and my nose is getting stuffier by the moment. So I'm going to get right to editing, and then you'll obviously be watching this right now. But in this moment, as I speak, I have to edit this. So that's going to be fun for me. But I want to know from you guys, what do you think of Mandalorian Season 1? Who's your favorite character that we've got from this? Anybody you're going to miss from Season 1 that may or may not have died over the course of the show? Or maybe a character that had little moments that you're hoping to see more of, like Ming-Na Wen's character, or maybe Bill Burr's character, or, I mean, Khalil. Are you going to miss Khalil? Because he's definitely dead. What do you want to see from the plot of Season 2? Do you want to see more of this character story of Baby Yoda and Mandalorian? Do you want to see more? Do you want to see more of the Yoda species? Do you want to find out where Yoda and Baby Yoda, whose name we don't even have a name for him or her yet, I think it's a him, come from? Do you want to know the answers to those questions? Or do you kind of just want to see more of like a space opera adventurer series where it's like more of like Supernatural, where it's Monster of the Week and the occasional plot progression? And of course, as always, if you enjoyed this video, you could like it. You could subscribe if you haven't already, so you'll never miss videos from me ever again. And most importantly, you could ring that bell, and just that bell right there, so you'll never miss a notification for a video from me ever again for the show or any of the other subsequent shows on this channel. And I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. Thank you for watching this. I really appreciate it. And yeah, in the comments down below, let's have a discussion about Mandalorian Season 1 and what we expect from Season 2 and beyond. May the force be with you always. Have a happy new year. Have a safe new year, whatever you're doing. If you're in your house, or if you're going to the city or a local town or wherever you're doing, be safe, please. And let's go into 2020 very strong. Hopefully we be securing that bag, as the kids say, in 2020. I'll see you guys next time. This is the way. See you later.